here with TelstraDev's Michelle, we're going to talk through some amazing things that you can do with this. I still love this device. I got to admit, I love the fact that you can just connect it like anywhere. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Steve. Hi, DevSteve. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, I hope everyone's loved the session so far. Complete spoilers. Dev Ali, and G-Chan were slightly distracted by a brand new dev joke that I created. So I thought I'd just share it. It's literally like 15 minutes old. So it may need some work. Sometimes that happens. But when Watson AI goes camping, how does it sleep? Intense. And if you're watching the last session, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, because they did talk about that. That's now been added to the list. But yeah, look, did you want to? You can kick off if you want, Michelle, and then yeah, we'll talk through how to do some fun stuff with one of these boards.
Yeah. So the board that DevSteve's talking about is the Arduino MKR NB 1500 that we've got up on the screen, and we've both got one of our own here. I'm here on the Gold Coast, and Steve is obviously in Melbourne, and we're going to be connecting with each other through APIs and through Iot Brokers and through some really cool programs in the cloud, even though we can't be in the same room. So we're going to do a live demo today, which I'll get right into, that's going to use some of the messaging API features from TelstraDev. So just a bit about me. You guys probably haven't seen much of me before, but I'm Michelle Howie. I'm the developer advocate at TelstraDev. Before that, I spent the last 2 years at the 5G Innovation Centre on the Gold Coast with Telstra. So that's been lots of fun too. So you can ask me about anything IoT, 5G, APIs. I guess a little fun fact, I absolutely love Korea, and you can probably see on my little tablet here where I've got my notes. I've got all my Korean study on there. And yeah, you can find me on Twitter at that handle there, Michelle to Minhair. Minhair is my Korean name. So like I said, I'm from TelstraDev, and this is a digital platform for software developers where we unlock some of the features of the Telstra network through APIs and IoT devices and IoT connectivity. And it's a single stop shop for APIs. And I guess the reason that is cool for developers and why developers should care is that Telstra abstracts that complexity. And I guess if you know how APIs work, you know that all the complicated hard stuff is in the back end, and all you need to interact with is that simple API at the front end. So you can focus on making cool things like we're going to be making today. So we have a couple of APIs on there, but we're always adding more. So I'd love to hear how you guys would like to access the Telstra network besides the things that we've got on there today. But the one we're going to be using is the messaging API, and I'm going to be using the free trial that I set up this morning. So anyone can log in for free to the TelstraDev website, and you get 1,000 messages straight up, and we're going to utilize those today. If you haven't heard of an API, which I hope you have, I'll just give you a little bit of overview. APIs kind of run the entire world. They're the bit that makes the complex simple and helps softwares communicate with each other. So the analogy I like to give is, if you go to a restaurant and you want to order a risotto, you don't need to know the recipe. You don't need to know how much salt. You don't need to know which shelf, all the ingredients are on. That's in the back end. You don't worry about that. I guess the API here is the menu where all you need to do is select what you want, and then you get a risotto or a burger at the end. So that's, I guess, a good way to think about how simple APIs are making talking between software languages. I'll go to IoT. So another technology that we're going to be using today is the Internet of Things, which is the billions of devices that are connected to the internet. And the two IoT networks that Telstra offers are the Narrowband IoT and Cat-M1 network. And you can see on the diagram there a map of Australia with all the regions of connectivity. So the cool thing is that we've got over almost 4 million square kilometres of connectivity for the Narrowband IoT network. And the point of using an IoT network rather than, say, 3G or 4G is it has a lot wider coverage, has a greater coverage range, because IoT usually only sends a little bit of information, right? In this example, DevSteve and I will be sending together just simple commands like on and off, right? You don't need a lot of data for that. You don't need a lot of throughput. So with that trade-off, you can get a lot further. There's a lot of other benefits of IoT that I won't get into today. But the other, I guess, quick concept that I'll run over is IoT Brokers, which is how we're actually going to get data from our SMS from my phone to DevSteve's Arduino board over there. So IoT brokers are the bits in the network that are moving data between the machine-to-machine IoT devices. That makes it a lot easier because these devices here, they're great, but they're dumb, right? They're only as smart as the libraries that you put on them, as DevSteve said. So we're going to put all of the brains of this device in the cloud somewhere. But to access that, we're going to need to use a broker. So the broker that we're going to use today is in the IBM Watson IoT platform, which is really cool. And this is just a really simple, uncomplicated example of how a broker could work. So, oops, where am I? Cool. So in this example, we have a computer, and that computer is subscribing to a topic of temperature. So it's asking the broker, hey, have you got any updates on temperature? Let me know if you've got any updates on temperature. Have you got any updates on temperature, right? In the meantime, we've got a temperature sensor who's sitting there, and she's decided, okay, I'm 30 degrees Celsius. I'm going to publish that information to the topic of temperature. So yeah, while that's happening, the computer is asking, hey, have you got any information about temperature? So then the computer then gets that 30 degrees Celsius, and that computer might be running a simple program saying, if the temperature is above 25 degrees Celsius, then do something. And that do something could be turn on the air conditioner. So you might have another device there that's an air conditioner that subscribes to its own topic about air conditioners, about is it going to be on or off. The computer can then decide, okay, tell the aircon, I'm going to publish to the topic aircon, turn it off. And you could have, almost infinite amount of aircons there listening to that topic, and they're all going to turn on after they receive that command. That's a little overview of how that broker is going to work for us, and we're going to use a very similar example here in today's demo to turn our mates' lights on and off remotely. So we're going to get lit with IoT. I guess that's how we're going to do it. And remembering that we are doing an IoT Innovator Award for the submissions that for Call for Code tomorrow that include IoT in an innovative way. We could be doing a social isolation disco, turning each other's lights on and off. If you've got a big rainbow LED strip or something like that, I don't know, I'm not going to put ideas in your mouth. But the things that we're going to use today, firstly, is this little beautiful Arduino board here. Like I said, you could use pretty much any board, but this one's special because it's connected to Telstra's Cat M1 IoT network. We're going to use the messaging API, an IBM Node Red flow, which Kong described expertly earlier how to set that all up. So I'm going to skip all of that. And we're using the Watson IoT broker. And hopefully with some luck from the demo gods, or some luck of Murphy's Law not applying on the weekend, please don't let us mess up on the weekend. We're going to get this done. And if you want to follow along at home, I've posted in the virtual venue some of the GitHub links, and you can see the link on the screen there. Just look for me, Michelle Howie. It's the only repo I've got there at the moment, and you can follow along with us. So how it's going to work, we have the Arduinos connected to the Cat M1 network. I've got my mobile here connected to the 5G network because I'm on the Gold Coast. We've got 5G here. I'm going to send an SMS, which is going to hit a virtual mobile number in the Telstra Messaging API land. That is we're going to program that so that every time a message comes into that virtual mobile number, it's going to route it to a URL endpoint. And we're going to define that URL endpoint in our node red. So it's going to be a node in our flow. When that flow gets that message payload, it's going to do some stuff to it, which we'll show you. And then it will publish to the IoT broker some information. This information is going to be on or off, turn the lights on or off. What's an IoT is going to then publish that topic. In the meantime, DevSteve's Arduino board is sitting there going, hey, is there anything going on that topic? Hey, is there anything going on there? So as soon as something's going on, it's going to get that on or off. All right. So I hope you guys have followed that, which is sort of the how, the why, and what we're going to do today. Right, so I've got these little boards, these Arduino IoT boards, and I've jumped on the TelstraDev website this morning and registered my name as a company. And we have different APIs here. So we're going to be using the messaging API today. I'm going to open up, and you can also see some community blogs which are introducing the devices and have some ideas on how to use them. And of course, our TelstraDev Twitter, where we've been mainly posting about Call for Code because I've been so excited to be here today with you guys. So the first step, we've gone into IBM Cloud. So I registered on TelstraDev, and then I've registered on IBM Cloud with my name. And you can actually find, as Kong showed this morning, some different services here. We're going to go to the IoT Things platform. I've created a company here. So my organization with the free trial, which is cool, the Light organization. And now we're going to create a device. So we're in our IBM Watson platform, add device. I'm going to give it a name, a meaningful name. So the device type, let's just go with NB MKR. Device ID, let's call this one my device 1. Now this information you can fill in if you like, but we're just going to skip it for now. And same as the auth token, we'll just skip that for now. And then we're going to create our device. Dun, dun, device type ID. Ready? This is the scary part when you click finish.
It is.
Okay, it's good. Cool. Oh, all right. Hope you guys are still following along there. So note this big exclamation point here. You've got to pay attention. There's a big exclamation point on the screen. These auth tokens are non-recoverable. So we need to copy them straight away. And I'm going to just put them in a notepad that I've got on the side, put my creds in there, my device creds, because if we exit this page, we're not going to be able to see those tokens again, and we're going to need them to set up our Node-RED instance, our flow in a second. All right. And we're going to go then and create an app. So I'm going to generate an app within the IBM Watson IoT platform that's going to help us send the devices messages. I'll just call this, call the code 2020. Okay. And the role, what's the role we need here, Steve? This one,
backend trusted application. Yes.
Okay.
Because we're going to connect, can put that into the Node-RED. Oh, spoilers. I won't get ahead of it.
Yeah, you can, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, we're going to put that into the Node-RED node that then will send the message out into the broker. But that's how it connects to the broker. So, yes.
Good. And I've just copied that API key and the auth token. Because again, we've got a note here. Please make note of the auth token because otherwise you won't be able to get it again if you navigate away from this page. So right now I've got my notepad here. I've got all the device creds. I've got the app creds. I might write that here. API keys and auth tokens. All right. So DevSteve alluded to Node. Already been able to get to this page here with Kong earlier today. And I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here. And the node that we're going to make is an HTTP in. Actually, before I start, this is the end goal we're going to get to. So DevSteve whipped this up. Took us like less than an hour, I reckon, to whip this whole thing up with all the functions. It was so easy to use Node-RED. I absolutely loved it. And I've actually put, we exported this into JSON, so you can export the flow. And I've put it here in the repo. So you can go the Node-RED flow in JSON. And if you want to skip making all these parts, you can just go ahead and import and add that file that you've downloaded from our repo. But
this is the one we prepared earlier. Just quickly, and Kong kind of touched about it in his session. Can you just go hamburger menu top right and settings? So there's one node that we've added extra, and then palette on the left a little bit. Yes. So the Node-RED node-red-contrib-scx-IMB IoT app. You need to install that first. It's like an extra third-party community supported plugin, but that connects straight. That makes it really easy to connect straight in. But that's in the flow we're using now. So yeah, and I've told Kong as well. That's the node I was using. But yeah, you install that first, and then import the flows. Otherwise, it'll say, "Oh, we can't find the node." Anyway. Yeah, sorry, I wanted to throw that in.
Yeah, no, it's very important. So now that we've got that environment ready, the first thing we made is a HTTP in. And so this is going to be our endpoint that we're going to receive the message from. So I've made it a post because we're going to get the message in and post that into our flow, I guess. And we're going to make this endpoint /SMS. So note this bit here, the URL will be relative to /API. So when we're going to, I guess, reference to this endpoint, we're going to need to have our Node-RED flow URL here up to this point. Then we're going to add /API and /SMS. So remember that later. I'll just give it a name. Message in. Okay, and then I'm just going to add a debug here so we can see what's happening. And all we need to do, bam, I've made 2 points here. Now, Here's one I prepared earlier. Now let's see if I can do this while I'm still on Skype. I'm going to go.
Don't forget to deploy. Yeah, hit deploy in the top right, just so it publishes it live.
All right,
yes.
Live. That's a good word. I'm going to use live. Now I've just got my mobile here. Oh, okay, great. Something's happened.
That's me been testing. That was me testing as well. If you click the little rubbish bin in the top right of that debug box,
This one?
it should, clear it. And then, you can do it again. I was testing as well, full disclaimer, in the version that we prepared earlier, which is often, yes. Okay, cool. Amazing. Anyway.
All right.
Always a great feeling when you're doing a live demo that stuff actually works. What can go wrong?
So what we've done here is you can see that I'm just gonna type in my net. I'm just typing the word minute. I don't know why autocorrect just said that. I just texted the word minute, and now I can see that that's come up. On the debugger. I just accidentally deleted it, but that's okay. So we can see that I've just created a really quick endpoint that's sending into our Node-RED instance, and we're getting an output here. So I'm going to leave those for now. And that is because of something I prepared earlier. And that's something I prepared earlier is my messaging API. We love this getting prepared earlier. Cool. So I've gone to the TelstraDev website. I've gone to the messaging API. Yeah. And we can download the docs and the specs here. And I guess the important part is when you sign up for a developer account, you're going to get your apps and keys. So if I go to my apps and keys, loading, I, like developer Ali, have too many things open on my computer. This is only half of what you can see. So when you go to your keys, I haven't actually added any applications yet, but this free trial API app comes with your registration. So if I click that button there, you would see my client key and client ID, which I'm not going to open up for today. But following the messaging API specs here and get started, you can actually go to our many SDK repos. So we've got them on the GitHub, Telstra GitHub. The messaging API has the SDKs in many different languages, Python, Node, PHP, whatever takes your fancy. If your language of fancy isn't there, let me know, and we can try and get that up on there. But I'm just going to do it in Postman for today. So I've clicked this run in Postman, and it's downloaded the messaging API collections. All right. So in my messaging API environment here, I've added in, when you edit that, I've added in that client secret and client ID that I got from my app that we saw earlier in the TelstraDev portal. That's all you need to get started. And the first call here, the first API call we've got here is generate an auth token. So I'm just going to run that. Cool, easy. And that's my auth token. And that has a limited lifespan, so that'll only last for a little bit. It won't be perpetual for you, whereas the ID and secrets are alive as long as we are. Okay, so when you use the messaging API, you need to have a number. So you need to create a virtual mobile number. So if you want to create a subscription, right? Now, if I go back to the docs in the messaging API, when we're provisioning a number, there's a couple of different payloads that we can add into that. So the first one is the number of active days. So that's how long the number is going to be alive for, your virtual number. And the other one is the notify URL. So when we create a description and we specify a notify URL, that's the URL that we're going to post any new messages to. And I've just copied the payload here. So how to classify that notify URL. Now remember that notify URL is made up of this message in. So it's the URL up here plus API plus SMS. So hopefully, if we do the right thing, we're going to create a subscription that sends to this notify URL. So whenever we send a text to our new number, it's going to go into this Node-RED flow. Let's go back into Postman. Dun,
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Also, that initial token that you created, as far as live demos go, you could say is a token request. Aha. I'll be here all day.
Don't go. So I've just copied in this notify URL here in the body of my API call. So you can see I've got that HTTP important bit, the URL for our Node-RED flow /API/SMS. Now I hope it's going to work. And the request sent. Okay. Now this number here is our virtual number. This is the number that we've created. And if you sign up for the free trial on the TelstraDev messaging API, you get one free number on that trial. So it's only limited by the number of SMSs you send. So if you send one a day, you'll get 1,000 days worth out of it. All right. So we've got our IBM Watson account, we've got our app, we've got our device, we've got our messaging API set up, we've got our Node-RED instance. Now I'm just going to step through this Node-RED flow that DeveloperSteve prepared earlier. So we have that messaging in HTTP endpoint that's bringing in that text message. Now this function here, this one's important. He's put that together to convert anything that comes in into lowercase and rip the body out of the payload. So you saw before when we sent a text message, you got timestamp and to, from, all these things, message ID. We don't want any of those. We just want the body. It's going to rip out the body, make it lowercase, send it into this switch. And the logic that we're running here is if that input is either on or off, it's going to send to an event sender. Now, otherwise, it'll just send it to the debugger. So that's how we got all those debug things earlier. So let's send in another text message. I just want to see if this comes up. Cool, API. How come it's not sending the whole thing, not just the body? Maybe something's wrong here.
I think so. So we're using two of the endpoints in the same name. So we can change one because it's sending it into two open endpoints that are both called SMS, basically on both flows.
Right.
So I was thinking that so if we change one of them to, hang on, let me open Node-RED. Actually, we can just do it through your one. If you open up the message in on that screen.
Oh, I deleted
yeah, there we
go.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
So it can't have two HTTP and
yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, it's listening on two things, which I was wondering if it. Yeah, we probably should have discussed that one earlier. That's fine. We're live. What could go wrong?
All right. So let's just. I'm going to send another text in. It's hard to type. I've got the camera on my phone, so that's why it looks a bit weird. There we go. Sent in Murphy. And so you can see that we're looking at this message payload debug node here, and we can see Murphy that I texted. Right, so this is, where is it? In Postman. I'm going to open that up. So that's the number here. If any of you guys want to text something in to us, 0472 880 798. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have showed you that. I don't want to be messing up our demo, but that's okay. We're here. We're just here to have fun. All right, so the next part, which I'll run over to, is the Arduino part of it. So we made, well, pretty much DevSteve made this script earlier, where we're actually going to deploy this to the Arduino. That's going to tell the Arduino what to do and how to subscribe to a topic. So here's the part where you add in your own information. So put yours here, obviously, put your own token or device type and device ID. And that has come from here. So when we made that IoT device earlier in Watson, so you have all that information to put in there. You need this URL so that we can talk to the MQTT broker. And this is the topic that we're going to subscribe to. And I guess this is the important part. If the message that comes in equals on, we're going to send LED high. If it's off, LED low. And hopefully, with all of this, with our Arduino Sketch, our IBM Watson Cloud and broker and Node-RED and API with the messaging, this will be magic. And I'm going to text on, and Steve's Arduino is going to turn on.
Let me switch.
I'm hanging on.
Let me switch to close-up IoT board view. I'm going to switch my camera feed. So there we go. It's focused. It should be focused right on the.
Okay. Let's see
LED.
what happens. Oh, it worked. I wasn't going to say anything. I wasn't going to say I was going to do it because I wanted to see what's happening.
No,
but you can see. Let's see if it turns off. Now you can actually follow along here in the debug. Whoa! And the crowd goes wild.
It worked.
I'm so happy. This is actually quite an easy demo to put together because Node-RED made it really easy. DevSteve knew exactly what to do. And everything else was pretty easy to sign up. We've got the free trial on TelstraDev. We've got the light plan on IBM Watson IoT, which was free. The GitHub stuff that we've put up there, which was free. That's it. Isn't that amazing?
Really easy. That's why one of the things I love the most about Node-RED, it's a really easy platform to prototype in, and you can do just about anything. Fun fact, this Node-RED actually powers my coffee table at home, which has about 300 LEDs, NeoPixel LED strips. So I can ask Google Home to, using the same technique, just slightly expand it out a little bit more. What I'm doing is I'm just sending a string of JSON through pretty much the same process, but when I say red, it just sends through a string of JSON with RGB and type through to the device. And then I pick up and change the entire strip based on whatever comes through. I'm sending type also because I can ask it to change one color, or I can say, make it rainbow, and then it makes all the LEDs randomly blink different colors. But it's based on the same principle. And the coffee table, fun fact, side story, the coffee table is actually based on my wedding cake, which worked exactly the same way as this demo. So guests could actually message in through the TelstraDev API and change the color of the top of the cake, which everyone absolutely loved. In fact, I've had requests since to do the same thing again. So, but there we are. Yep. Hopefully you all got something out of it.
You can make a business out of that. Hey, DevSteve, what else have you done with the Arduino board before?
So many things. Two of the last demos, which I absolutely love. So these are on my Thingiverse. I do a lot of 3D printing stuff, but I've got a completely open source. Please go get it, make it better. Build it out to do whatever you need to do. But using Cat M1, I connected a whiteboard robot. So this is one of those gondola style robots that just writes on a whiteboard based on what you send through the messaging API or whatever it's received, whatever it gets inside a broker. And then also a lockbox, which was both were for conferences a couple of years ago now, but the lockbox was literally a $19 Perspex box from IKEA, servo motor, rack and pinion style. So you stick to the door a little gear system. And then when you send through the right command, it basically rolls the door open and you can get whatever goodies are inside, and then lock it back up again. And the best part is using Cat M1, it's so low one of these boards for quite some time and just have it go into network sleep mode and then sit there and wait for a command to come through. So, but yeah, all open source stuff. So please go get it and have fun with it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I love is that Arduino and all of these cool projects for Arduino are online. You can go to our GitHub, other people's GitHubs, Steve's Thingiverse, and find some cool ideas. But we want to hear your ideas. So we're actually doing a category giveaway for the IoT Innovator this weekend that employs the coolest cellular IoT connectivity in their call for code submission. So you'll be getting one of these boards yourself. So you can either go online and try and run the same thing with all of our free and open source tools that we use today. Yeah, so that's it. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. Thank you for having us in today. And Steve, is there anything else you want to wrap up with?
Oh yeah, I'll probably say a couple of things because we're on the stream now, and it took us to get in. No, I was going to say one of my favorite features, and totally putting my old TelstraDev hat back on. I don't think I ever took it off, but anyway, the MMS functionality I always absolutely loved because you can send some really cool stuff through MMS, and there isn't you've got the only API in Australia on that one. So again, putting my hat back on, but there's some really fun ways you can use that really easily. So it'd be cool to see some folks building some stuff out with that. But otherwise, we'll be around the venue the rest of this evening and then tomorrow morning. So if anyone needs any help, please reach out. And yeah, we both love geeking out with IoT stuff in particular. So yeah. I think that's kind of it for us. So that's the end of our stream for today. Please, reach out, say hi. And yeah, we'll see you around the venue. If you haven't yet joined the venue, please do even just drop in, say hi, check it out. There's been a whole bunch of great conversations and a whole bunch of really cool hacks being built out. So look forward to seeing those play out tomorrow. Yeah, I think that's about it for me. I know had 2 energy drinks this morning and I'm starting to feel the rundownness, so might go grab another one. But I'll see you all around the venue, and thanks for tuning in.